All right, I'm starting the recording. And let's see. Can you see my yellow screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody? Is that all three of you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What I did here, and you got this email yesterday, this is number 2 of the assignment. There was no UML diagram. All right. There was just this. And believe me, hopefully you can tell by looking at it, this didn't take 5 minutes to build. It took a little bit more time than that, and I tried to put in good names for everything that's in there. I'm not saying I succeeded or didn't succeed, but just so you know. What we're going to do tomorrow, not today, but tomorrow, is we are going to go over this. I'd like you to try to see if you can come up with some kind of an inventory class based on all this stuff. Is that going to be easy? Of course not. Do I expect that it's going to be totally 100% correct? Of course not. All I'm asking is that you try to do that. And then I'll show you what I did tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to spend quite a bit of time on this one right here. When we get done, and I've got to find time to do it, I don't know when, but I've got to find time, I'm going to try to write a pretest tomorrow. All right? And what I will do is I will be online here the entire time. When we start tomorrow, we'll first go over this one you see on your screen, right here. Then I will go over with you what I expect you to do in this one problem for a pretest. And then I'm going to remain online. That said, I'm going to just let you go and try to work on the pretest for virtually the entire period. So imagine, if you would, that this is your test. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and then what we will do on Friday is we will go over the pretest as a class. Then next Monday, you are taking your test on Chapter 12. Remember, the stuff that we've been going over, you're going to have to go back and watch the videos.
Okay.
But the stuff that we've been going over, that's the non-OOP for these 6 lab problems. That is due on Friday by 4:25 p.m. All right. I'm just going to give you the same deadline that I give my afternoon class. All right. So with all of that said, I'm going to try to change what's on the screen. And my hope is that when I do, you're going to see the change. So I'm just moving over here to this game break one. Did your screen change?
No.
No.
Yours is still yellow?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Then I think I'm going to have to stop my share and start a new share. So hold on just a second. Stop share. Share screen. That's 5. That's the employee. That's game break. All right. Now did it change?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So what we have on here now, this is that 4th problem from your assignment. If you remember, I'm going to run it for you so you see it. So if I come through here and I type in League of Legends and hit enter. Remember this? Yes? No? Remember this one?
Yes.
All right. This is one of the ones that you had to do, and I've changed it. I've added classes to it, so I'm going to show you the classes that I've added. I asked you to try to do this yesterday, but I'm just going to take for granted you didn't, or you might have run into a problem, etc. So we're going to run over the entire program. Then when we get done with this one, we're going to run over the entire program for Lab 5. All right. So let me stop this, and let me go over here, and let me change. I'm going to change to the So this is the game class. Now, if you do have your assignment with you, okay, then you can turn to page 4 of the assignment. If you don't have the assignment with you, I can email it to you, but I'm not going to do it right now. But on page 4, they say in that UML diagram, we're supposed to have 4 instance variables. Whoop, I'm on the wrong page, sorry. I'm on 3. It says that we are supposed to have 3 instance variables. A string, all right, a string for the name, a string for the publisher, and a float for the price.
Would
Is
you
that
be able
coming
to
through
make
okay?
Can you use that as a decimal, or does it have to be a float?
You could have done it as a decimal too. And that's a really good question, Keegan. In fact, what I did, just so you know, what I ended up doing was for the I think it's the next one. They had a double, and they had both a double and a float or something. And I just said, hey, make them all the same thing. Why make this much harder? So yeah, I believe that wouldn't have been any problem making that a decimal. All right. So, but you can see what I've got here. So every game has a name, every game has a publisher, every game has a price. That should make sense because that's what you see here: name, publisher, and price. And remember that when we run this, the idea is that if we put in a game that doesn't exist and you click search, it comes up with game not found for all 3. All right. So just kind of keep that in mind as we're going here. So your game class, again, these should be your instance variables. Then under that, you've got your constructor. You can see that right here. And remember, with that underscore, we talked about this yesterday and the day before. That's not mandatory that you put in that underscore. But with instance variables, what a lot of people do, and Mr. Smith made this assignment. So what Mr. Smith did was he put the underscore in front, but by no means is that mandatory. All right. So we're saying the name we pass in, set that to the name. The publisher we pass in, set it to the publisher. The price that we pass in, set it to the price. What this is going to do is this is going to call right here. This is going to call the get name. This is going to call right there basically the get publisher, and etc. So in other words, it's just going to set those values is what I'm saying. All
Is
right.
this recorded? And will this part
It
be
is.
on YouTube as well?
It's being recorded right now. In
Okay.
fact, on the first day when I recorded, we tried using Google Hangouts instead of Zoom, and I had problems with it, so I had to re-record some of it. So it's on 3 different lectures for Monday, but the
Okay.
one lecture is only 5 minutes long.
Okay.
And yesterday the lecture was 2.5 hours, but this is
Yeah,
a
I saw
different
that.
this is a different software package, so it's all in one MP4 file. That's what I hope to do today as well.
Okay.
So here's our constructor, and here's our 3 getters. Any questions over those? Hopefully, at least the 2 of you who've been here both the other days, does that make sense?
Yeah, I was able to get that far, but then getting to the form.cs is where I got confused.
We're going to do that next, but I just want to make sure that you understand that part of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So then let's jump into the mentioned form.cs. All right. And I'm looking here. I'm trying to figure out why I have this open twice, but I do. So let's go. That's the old one. That's why. All right. So there we go. So we came in here. I tried again to keep as much of the stuff from the original non-OOP version that we did as possible. Everybody hear me? All right.
Yeah.
So we did go in. These we had before. 5 games. And we're going to put game not found. You already saw that if you put in a game up in the text box that is not known. Then we came in here and we created the list, and that's the list of games. All right. Were you able to do that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So that part makes sense. All right. Then next, we want to go through our button search. Now you'll notice this is not a real huge routine. Again, I tried to keep as much of what was in here as was in here before. So I tried to change as little as possible, is what I'm telling you. So what are we doing? We were supposed to call this thing search for game. And I'm going to go through that in a minute. But search for game is going to return either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or -1. If search for game returns 0, that's the one. If it returns 1, that's the one. If it returns 2, that's the one. If it returns 3, that's the one. And if it returns 4, that's the one. If we put in a game that's not location 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, it's going to return -1. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is the search. So I don't know if you need that or not, but you can take a look at it. So what are we doing? Remember, you can search by either name or publisher. So you may have to make some changes to your search for game. But I just said, hey, the search term, the only reason that I use search term here is otherwise I would have to keep typing text box game.text.to lower, which I thought was kind of long. So I just created a local variable called search term. This is going to work through the array, and it's going to look through that list of 5 games, and it's going to say, okay, whatever I just put in the text box, does it match the name or does it match the publisher? And if it does match it, it's going to return LCV, which is the position. So if the line that you see right here that's in blue, if line 59 is indeed hit, if line 59 is indeed hit, that means that what I put in the text box either matched the name of a game or the publisher of a game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If it doesn't, so if I go through the whole list, like what I put in Mario Brothers, then it gets down to the bottom and it says nope. So it comes down here, it returns -1. So returning -1 means whatever I put into that text box did not match the name of any game and did not match the publisher of any game. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So jumping back up here then, if the position is between 0 and 4, that's what this is saying, then show the game information. Otherwise, show game not found. So this, let's say that I put in there that League of Legends. This means, okay, I looked and I found it. It returned 1 for the position. So it's going to put League of Legends right there. Then it's going to put Riot Games. It's going to end up putting right there. And then whatever the price was, nothing. All right. It's going to put that one right here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of.
Lock this. I don't know how that got unlocked, but it did. All right. So when we jump back here into the code, all we're doing is we're saying if you click the search button, see if whatever we put in, all right, see if whatever we put in exists in that list of games. If it does, give me the position in the list where it exists. If it doesn't, return -1. All right. And then come back up here. And this if says if it's 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, call show game info. Otherwise, call show game not found info. And let's look at that one first. The show game not found info just puts game not found, game not found, game not found. And the show game info, all right, what is that doing? That's grabbing the from our list. It's doing the get name, and it's using that to fill up the name label. It's doing get publisher, and it's filling up the publisher label, and it's doing a get price, which I formatted so that it has the $sign on it, all right, for the price label. All right, and the only other thing that's in here is the clear routine. I call when you load the form. All that does is it clears out my 3 labels and my text box, and it puts the focus on the text box. And I call that when either I click the clear button or at the beginning of the program. All right. Now, does anybody need me to go back up? Do you need to copy any of this code?
Yeah, I need you to go back up to the global variables.
And you don't have to put all the space in like I did. I wanted to make sure you could read that okay. That's all. So again, remember, that means that numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 done in an OOP format are going to be due this Friday, the 27th by 4:25 p.m. Do you have all that game information there, Keegan?
Yeah, I got most of it, yeah.
Okay, so that's the search right there. That's the button search. Again, we could have called other routines, and I did that somewhat in here. All right, I tried to make it somewhat of a driver because you really shouldn't be putting a lot of code itself in the buttons click event. And again, I guess it's real easy for me to say, does that make sense? And it may or may not. But you know, hopefully by now, that this stuff isn't easy, and I have never ever claimed that it was. All right. But that said, you're going to have to look at it until it makes some sense to you. All right. I may even give you 2 problems tomorrow. I don't know, for that pretest, because one of the ones on the test, I found it really hard. All right. So we'll just see how that works. And again, you don't need to use all those. If you don't want to put in the comments, don't, but I put them in for your edification so you could hopefully understand what was going on, you know, when we called a routine or whatever. Anybody still need this search stuff?
No.
No.
No? All right, then let's move up to there's the search for game. I've said this to you before, but by no means is this the only way to do this. All right. I'm sure that when you actually take your test, that the ones that you create won't be identical to one another, and that would be to be expected. So. Has everybody got everything from the search for game routine, or are you still working on it?
I'm almost got it all. I have it. I have it.
You got it, Keegan, too?
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
done.
All right. So here is the show game info, and here is the show game not found. I could put a comment up here and then just say something like game was found in list. There. Everybody have the first one here, the show game info?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, this is going to be interesting because it's telling me it's going to kick me out in 10 minutes, and it's not supposed to do that. So we'll see if it does or not. Does everybody have the game not found one done on top
Yeah.
here? Because that's it. That's the rest of the program. So as you can see, there's about 110 lines in here. I think what I'm going to do, I'm asking for your feedback on this. You don't have to give it to me right now, but think about it. The test that Paul has written for chapter 12 has 2 problems on it, okay? And what I'm thinking of doing is only giving you one of those problems, but asking you to write it in both a non-object oriented way and in an object oriented way. That way, if you're struggling with the object oriented way of doing it, you can still get some points. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that might make it easier, and it might give people more points, or the possibility of getting more points on the test. Now, when everybody is done with this one, I'm going to switch to the other one. And I'm going to take it slow. If it turns out that, it's like you got to go to the bathroom, you don't have to announce it, just get up and go. All right. But if you need me to go back up to go to anything, that's also just fine.
All right.
But after we go through the next one, which is number 5, that's the one on the job estimate, then we'll take a break. So does everybody have this now? We all have this first program?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to attempt to change to the other screen for number 5. You are going to have to tell me whether or not screen sharing is stopped. Okay. All right, that's not a problem. I'm going to go and try to change to the other screen. So I'm going to close this one and leave that one open. Okay. All right, I'm going to try to do a different screen share now. And that is this one. Do you now see, I've got up in blue right now where it says trip fee equal $35.
Yeah.
You see that on
Yes.
the screen? Good. All right. So this is number 5. This is that job estimate. So first, let's look at the job class. All right. If you do have the handout, it's in the upper right-hand corner, but it says we're going to have a constant called trip fee, which is a double, and it's $35. You'll notice I also made hours to complete, hourly fee, and total fee, I made all of them doubles. And before you even ask, yeah, it would have been possible if you wanted to. It would have also been possible, I think. I don't see why you couldn't have made them decimal. So if you would have wanted to make those decimal, that would have been fine. I just made them double because it told us to make the trip fee a double. All right. Again, I don't think I'm using any of these up here. I think if I click on the light bulb, it's going to say I can remove them there. All right. So every single time we do a job estimate, each job estimate will have a description, and hours to complete, an hourly fee, and a total fee. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's go down to the constructor then, because it's right there. In fact, you know, this whole thing, it's pretty small, really. So for the constructor, this will pass in the description. This will pass in the hours to complete. This will pass in the hourly fee. And we don't pass in a total fee. That's what we have to calculate. So we're given this. We're given this. We're given this. And then to figure out the total fee, we multiply this one by this one, and then we add 35 to it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And again, the example that they gave, the description was wash windows. The hours to complete was 3.5. The hourly rate was 25. So you take 3.5 and multiply it by 25, and you get $90.50. Then you add the $35 fee, I guess it was $92.50. No, $87.50 is what it was. Then you add the $35 fee and it becomes $122.50. We'll do that one. In fact, let me run it. And we'll put in exactly what they have on the handout. And that is wash windows, 3.5, $25 an hour. So 3.5 times 25 is going to give you $87.50. $87.50 plus 35 is $122.50. So this says just copy that from here to here, copy that from here to here, copy that from here to here, multiply this one by this one, add the 35 and put that one there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was the constructor, and here, that's the rest of the class. Now you could have done it in another way, but since we're not doing anything special with the getters and setters, I just made them those auto-implemented properties that you see right there. And remember, for example, this one right here, could I have rewritten this? Yes. We could have also written that one like this. We could have said get, and then we could have said return underscore description. All right. And then set, and we could have said, where is it? We could have then said, need one more curly brace, there we go. We could have said for that, underscore description equals value. All right.
I
So,
think you put the I in the wrong place for description.
all right, that's fine, but you all get the idea, is what I'm saying. Is the reason that I'm writing it like this is I can write it in one line as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines. All right. And if I can cut 90% of my code down, I'm going to do that every single time.
So all of those lines that you just deleted from like 24, it was like 4 lines. That
Yeah. That's what this does.
Okay, okay.
All right. Does everybody have all that?
Yeah,
Yes.
I believe
All
so.
right. All right. So I'm going to jump over to the